Okay. So we started with the prayer, and then can uh, can I request one of you to uh, write down the names of all the people who are attending here, so that I will go ahead and make a list.
Sure, Raghuji, I will note down.
Okay, very good. So let me give a little bit of introduction, and so this is a little bit of a note from the actually from the Wikipedia. Okay. Uh, this book, this commentary is based on another commentary, not the original. Okay. He says in the beginning of this book, Yogavashista states that the stories have a definite purpose and a limited intention. They are not to be taken literally, nor is their significance to be stretched beyond the intention. What he's saying is this Yoga Vasista is full of stories. So the stories are there to make a point, okay, to illustrate some thing that he's trying to teach. They might not be real, okay, and don't stretch the example too far, he says. And he says, shows there are so many stories within stories. In Vairagya Prakarana, there are so many stories, and in Muksha Prakarana, the story of Sukha and self effort, and in Utpatti Prakarana, you see so many stories are there. And then, same way with the Sthiti Prakarana and Upashamana Prakarana, and the last one is the Nirvana Prakarana, and that has the half of the book is actually Nirvana Prakarana, and that has so many stories. This he says the subjects dealt in this work include spirituality, origin of the cosmos, and human beings, the attainment of moksha, social customs and Vedic rituals prevalent during that period, mysteries of creation and decreation and avatars. So you can say that this is a huge composition of 32,000 verses, the original, and so you keep wondering, hey, how can it be so big on that on a spiritual subject? It is to teach people like us. Excuse me. I'll call you later. Okay, let me turn it off. Okay, thought process breaks. Yeah. It is because of the long stories and stories within stories, time travel, all these things that make this book very extremely interesting. And particularly, we think the time is fixed. And when you read the Yoga Vasista, you will see how the time is so mysterious, and what we consider here as a lifetime is in another universe, it just happened a day ago. Okay. And so showing how this whole world is mithya, transient, and is illusory. Uh, a few of us went through this book a few years ago. about 5 years ago. And it took about 3 years, I think. Actually, we studied in Chinmaya Niketan live, studying together. And but since we finished the Bhagavatam on a Tuesday satsang, I felt it's a good idea to start back Yoga Vasishta because it's extremely interesting and at the same time along the same spiritual line. And it is said that Yoga Vasishta is not for the beginners. Okay. Just like Ashtavakra Gita, it is for an advanced student. Okay. But it doesn't mean that a beginner should not read it or study it. And but as long as he understands, hey, some of these concepts I don't understand, if he continues to persist and study, and then within a few years, by the time we finish the book, you will have good understanding of the Vedanta. In our spiritual knowledge, in the Gnana Yoga, three things are said to be the part of the Gnana Yoga. One is Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. That is listening to the Guru and reflection to see what is said is true and why it is true, how and clear the doubts up. And then the nididhyasana is that doubtless knowledge in our intellect is to be made our own as a realization. That is vijnanam or experience. And when we attain to that state, we should be able to detach ourselves from the world of multiplicity and go into state of samadhi. And then as we advance further, we can remain in the state of samadhi and continue to deal with this world as any other person. But our identification is not with this body as Raghu, but identification with Aham Brahmasmi. So as long as we understand that, this we learn a lot of uh, things from this book, and it will be extremely interesting. Okay, about this particular edition was recommended to me by Swami Bodhatmananda, one of our Swamis in the Chinmaya mission about 10 years ago. That's how we got into this book. And the original Yoga Vashishta is said to be about 32,000 verses, verse by verse, and we do not have a complete work. There's only one book available from the called Primal Publications. This is the book. I can send you the information, and it is in 4 volumes. It is just a sloka by sloka and just a translation. No commentary, no what do you call elaboration on it. I did not benefit much from it, but this edition that we are studying is by Swami Jyotirmanandaji, a realized master from the Miami. He was the student of Swami Shivananda Maharaj of the Divine Life Society. Swami Jyotirmanandaji gave a talks on this Yoga Vasishta, and all of them were collected. And he had one student by name Swami Lalitananda. She was actually a Western lady who got influenced by Jyotirmanandaji, and he continued to live as the vice president of this Yoga Research Center, and she is no more. And all the what do you call the credit for this book goes to Swami Lalitananda. Okay. I'm not going to read the publisher's note. I will let everybody read it, and you can see in the contents the various chapters and the names of each chapter. And what Jyotirmanandaji has done is, instead of going by sloka, he has translated them into a prose form. And where these slokas are too elaborate, he has skipped many of the slokas. If he had gone to put it into prose form, all the slokas, it would have been about three times as big as this uh, edition. So with that introduction, we will start with the introduction of the book, the page 14. Okay. So Anjaneyulu, you want to read, sir?
Sure, Raghuji. Hari Om. The Yogavashista Maha Ramayana, one of the greatest of all Hindu scriptures, is virtually unknown in the West due to the scarcity of its English translations. My mic is not muted. Somebody.
It's Dinesh.
Yeah.
Dinesh.
Parma, Dr. Parma,
Hello.
Somehow,
can you mute yourself?
Should I mute myself?
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Please.
Yeah, it looks now good, silent.
Okay.
This vast work of approximately 32,000 verses supplements the epic poem, the Ramayana, which is popularly known throughout India and the world. In the Balakanda section of the Ramayana, it is stated that Sri Rama was given spiritual instructions by sage Vasista. Yoga Vasista is the teaching. The Ramayana describes the life and adventures of Sri Rama, and the Yoga Vasista presents his inner realization in detail, serving as an example for those who wish to intensify their spiritual life and deepen their understanding. Shall I continue, Raghuji? Or?
Go ahead and read one more paragraph.
Yeah. The Yoga Vasista is also known by various names: Maharamayana, Uttara Ramayana, Arsha Ramayana, Jnana Vasista, Vasista Ramayana, and Vasista. It is the earliest work of Yoga Vedanta and gives a magnificently detailed exposition of the subtleties and insights of that philosophy, which is a majestic sweep that has never been equaled in any metaphysical work since. It was written around 500 BC or earlier by the great poet Valmiki in the form of a dialogue between sage Vasista and his people, the young Prince Rama.
Want to comment?
Yeah, so the way Lord Sri Rama got disinterested in the samsaric life, or whatever the normal life of any prince. It indicates similar to the Gautama Buddha, who was also exposed to similar outside world and started and quest for the inner realization. So of course, Gautama Buddha didn't had any similar Yoga Vasista at that time, maybe. But here Rama is, through Yoga Vasista, he was made to, realize and how to live in life. At the same time, detach from this mundane world and lead the spiritualistic world. So we are going to enjoy this Yoga Vasista.
Good. Good. So, it's Anjaneyulu, being a learned man, he's comparing it to the life of Buddha, and how this teaching made Lord Rama become a great king and a great person to live in equanimity in this world, not take sannyasa and go away to the forest. Okay, so that's a great difference between the vairagya that Rama developed, and after the teaching, he became a great king, and what you call a Grihastha. But Buddha, not having the proper guru and the teaching, he went to realization of sannyasa and he became a sannyasi. So, with a big difference. So you can say this teaching happened in the Balakanda of the regular Ramayana, but this teaching is not in there, but this teaching is separately written by, said to be written by Valmiki himself. And it says 500 BC or earlier. It cannot be just 500 BC. It has to be much, much earlier, like at least 3000, 4000 before that, because 500 years before Jesus was actually what even Buddha had probably died already. Okay. And this was even much before the Mahabharata, and even during the Ramayana time, supposed to be what do you call, not Kruta Yuga, Treta Yuga. So uh, anyway, but definitely it says earlier, so it's much earlier version. And also you can see various names are given for the same book, but all of them are referring to the Yogavashista. Okay, is the Nuligaru is not here, and uh, so Maya, you want to read, Amma?
Hari Om Raghuji, I'm here.
Oh,
Hari
okay.
Om.
Okay. I'll request Dr. Nuligaru to read Balakrishna Garu.
Oh, okay.
Next two paragraphs.
Okay. Every kind of exposition is employed in its sequence. Didactic instruction, answers to doubts, parables, and stories within stories. Many key points of this metaphysical instruction are touched upon over and over again with increasingly deeper meanings. Therefore, the work appears to move in vast spirals, culminating in the self-realization of Sri Rama. The interlocking system of stories within stories enhances the vision of the worlds within worlds and of the infinitely complex world of the mind itself arising within the cosmic mind.
Go ahead and read the next paragraph.
In the opening stage, Sri Rama relates his growing awareness of the transiency of life and of all worldly aims. A great vairagya, dispassion arises, which later develops into mumukshatva, longing for spiritual emancipation. Subsequently, he is fully enlightened by sage Vasishta. In the process, every aspect of yogic and Vedantic teaching is beautifully and fully developed.
Finished?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of difference between what we are reading in our new book and what Dr. Noli read, because he's reading from the old edition, I think.
Oh, this is the edition we bought when we. Oh, so you have a newer edition of this?
Right.
Okay.
So there's significant difference. I didn't realize that there will be so much difference. They have changed the whole sentences significantly here. So I'm going to just read the last paragraph. He says, the epic, that is the epic of the Yogavashista, commences with Sri Rama relating to sage Vasishta his growing awareness of the transiency of life and of all worldly pursuits. A great sense of vairagya, dispassion has caused him to become deeply reflective and despondent. The great sage Vasishta, through enlightening discourses which cover every aspect of yogic and Vedantic teachings, ignites in Rama a sense of mumukshutva, or a profound longing for spiritual emancipation. So this culminates in Rama's realization of this essential nature, the self. So you can say a beautiful definition of Vairagya here, that intense desire for that spiritual emancipation is the mukshutvam, profound longing for spiritual emancipation. And so next we are going to see that Yogavashista is written in 6 chapters. So what are the names of each chapter? We are going to read now. So, and Karpagam, you want to read the next paragraph, Vairagya Prakarana?
Sure. Vairagya Prakarana, dispassion. At sage Vashista's request, Sri Rama describes the cause of his mind's unusual melancholy state. He elaborates upon the transiency, essencelessness, and changing nature of all objects in this world. These vivid descriptions of the vanity of all worldly pleasures and of the emptiness of all worldly attainments are meant to promote vairagya or dispassion, which is the first stage on the path of wisdom that leads to self-realization.
You want to comment?
The first part is going to the description, what we live in a Maya and everything is changing. And that's what I understood.
Right. They can say this for every teaching, for any kind of knowledge, any kind of science, you need an eligible student. Who is the eligible student for the spiritual knowledge? The one who has 2 important things, Viveka and Vairagya. And like Shankaracharya says, 4 are needed: Viveka, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. Of which the Vairagya to the world is extremely important. Unless you have Vairagya to the world, then this spiritual knowledge is not going to be of benefit, because you look at the whole world as real and you think your body, mind, intellect, you are the real person and you are enjoying and suffering in this world, and as long as you are deep into this world as real, this knowledge is not going to be of benefit. Only when you develop disenchantment to this world, hey, what is this world? All suffering and constantly changing, and I really don't see any permanency in anything in this world. In that kind of a person, the knowledge of yourself gets established. So we will go to who is it Lalita? Manoj, go ahead. Manoj, you want to read?
Okay.
Go ahead. The Mumukshu Prakarana.
Mumuksha Karna is the aspiration for self-realization. This section details upon the qualifications of an aspirant that are necessary to cultivate an expanding consciousness. One should not rely upon fate or destiny, but rather gain an insight into the fact the self in an individual is the boundless source of all energy and creativity. By befriending one of the 4 gatekeepers at the Palace of Liberation, serenity, contentment, spiritual inquiry, for a good association, an aspirant is able to refine one's personality and develop an intuitive mind. So in this one, we are looking at self realization. And to become this one, you have to have a necessary characteristic. So once once you not rely on okay, fate or the thing is going to do it, you have to do yourself. And we have a self which has so much energy and creativity. And for the liberation, you have to have a serenity, and you have to be content with the pleasure or whatever it is. You are content, and you have to have a spiritual inquiry. Ask questions inside, and good association with people of similar mind or similar religious desire or gurus. And that the way one able to develop their personality and that kind of a mind which is intuitive, which looking for the self-realization. Ariyo.
Yeah, beautiful. So, the four gatekeepers for liberation, normally it is said to be the Viveka, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. And here, the Jyotirmandaji, the four gatekeepers for liberation are serenity. Serenity is opposite of loneliness. Okay. You feel lonely, you need if you want the company of people. And even when you are in the company of people, like in the middle of 7th Avenue in New York, you feel lonely because you don't know anybody, okay, and you are not happy. Okay. But serenity is a thing where you are completely happy within your own self. Whether you are in company or no company at all, okay, you are in a forest, you are completely satisfied. It's called Atma Trupta. And then contentment. Whatever that you have, material things, you are happy. It doesn't mean that you don't go after things, but if you don't get it, you're not going to cry. Okay. And you will be happy with whatever the material things. And then spiritual inquiry. Hey, what is this world? What is this constantly changing world? So you need to have that kind of you shouldn't be content with whatever it is, knowledge you have, but you should have the spiritual inquiry. And most important, as it's always saying, is satsanga, satsanga. So just like the doctors want the company of the doctors, the engineers want the company of the engineers to learn more about what the other people's experiences. Same way, satsanga with the people who are of the same temperament and who are in the same spiritual path, that helps. Just like Shankaracharya says, satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam. So if you have constantly are in the state of satsang with gurus, with similar books, with similar sadhakas, then you develop nisangatva, detachment to the world. From detachment to the world, they get established in that state of Brahman. So, who is going to read next? Maya, you want to read, Amma?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Utpatti Prakaran, the original of the word process. Utpatti Prakaran is an exposition on how the word evolved from the absolute and is ever rooted in the absolute. In fact, the word is an appearance sustained by the limitations of the mind. When these limitations are overcome by intuitive wisdom, it becomes non-existent. Should I read further?
No, we will hold. Yeah. So in the new edition, it's a little different. It says Utpatti Prakarana is an exposition of how the world evolved from and is ever rooted in the absolute, that Brahman. The world is an appearance sustained by the projections of the conditioned mind. When the illusory world of Maya is overcome by intuitive wisdom, the aspirant ceases to attribute reality to experiences of the mind. So, by constant inquiry, what this world is completely depends upon our mind. Whatever the outside that we see, so-called outside of our body, mind, then the knowledge that we get, we say the knowledge is inside, but the object is outside. So this object, the outside, inside, is based on our limitations of our body and the mind. When the mind becomes completely thoughtless, there's no real world. Of course, people say, "Oh, the world outside is still real. It continues, whether your mind is absent or not." Okay, but constant inquiry shows that this world is illusory. So that's what the Utpat Prakarana is going to teach us. Okay, and Dinesh, can you unmute yourself and read?
Which Dinesh you are asking?
No, Dinesh Parmar. No. Okay. Dinesh Sharma, can you want to read the next?
Yes. Sthiti Prakarana. Sustaining reality of the self. This section explains how an aspirant having cultivated wisdom abides in Brahman while continuing to live in the world. The underlying reality behind the ego sense in man is the absolute. When the illusion of duality is negated by wisdom, a yogi lives and sports in Brahman. The self is realized as the creator as well as the enjoyer of the universe.
Yeah.
So, Sthiti Prakarna basically, again, once a person is realized, then there is no difference between me and others. It's one, it's the same self with a different appearance all over the world.
Right. Yeah.
So once we have that, then there's no difference between me and other person. It's everything is just one.
Right. So this Brahman is only one. So if you are identified with the body, then I'm considered to be individual, separate from everybody else. But identified with the Atman, you see oneness alone. Everybody is in me and I am in everybody. I means that pure Atman. I, Atman, pervades everything inside and out. That Atman Ahamasmi. So that's what is taught by the Sthiti Prakarana. And let me see. Ratnam, you want to read?
Okay. Upashama Prakarana, quiescence of the mind. Herein, Yogavashista deals with a profound experience of peace that results from spiritual enlightenment. The characteristics of a self-realized sage are described in glowing terms. This section also gives instruction for the removal of ahankara or egoism, for the promotion of the equal vision, and for the attainment of absolute detachment from the world process. Here, Upashama Prakarana is in the 5th chapter or 5th volume. They are going to, Tejaman, not Tejaman, Jyotirmayananda Swamiji explains about the once you get the enlightenment, after that, self-realized sage described here how he is, what he is, how he does, how he deals with the world, and also when a person is a realized soul, he has been removed from the ahankara or egoism. It deals with really a self-realized saint. Hari Om.
Yeah. So, as it says here, that the characteristics of a realized person are described. Like in Bhagavad Gita, you see the Sthita Prajna Lakshana. In the second chapter, how is it? He says, Prajahati yada kaman, sarvan सर्वान् पार्थ मनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. But he has completely satisfied his own self with no cravings in his mind, satisfied and reveling in his own self, and is always at equanimity under all circumstances of ups and downs in the outside world. No attachment to pleasures of the world. So, and knowing that how we should live is we have to learn that get rid of our ahankara or identification with the body and continue to promote equal vision, though living in this world but not of the world. So, okay. And Shiva Swaminathan, you want to read, sir?
Yes. Nirvana Prakarana, liberation. This voluminous section is divided into two parts. In the first section, entitled Purva Bhaga, the yogi discovers his essential nature. He realizes his true identity as Brahman, the underlying reality behind all living individuals, beings, as well as the universe. He becomes all that is. Listening to these discourses of sage Vasishtha, Sri Rama enters into divine ecstasy. In the second part, Uttara Bhaga, Yogavashista presents the beatific vision of nirvana or liberation. Sage Vasishtha describes his own personal experiences of samadhi and of the majestic vision of the entire universe being nothing but the self.
Yeah.
Comment? So this last part, which is the Nirvana Prakarana, it has two portions. One is the Purva Bhaga and the second one is the Uttara Bhaga. In the Purva Bhaga, it actually mentions about what the true identity of one self is. It's a true Brahman. And all individuals are actually this Brahman. Listening to this detail, Sri Rama enters into divine happiness. The Uttara Bhaga, it presents the vision of what this nirvana is or liberation is. And Sri Vasishtha actually describes his own personal experiences and what is the state of samadhi, what is the state of this nirvana, and how this entire universe is nothing but self alone, the Brahman alone.
Right. Very nice. So let us finish it. Let us see. Sudhir, you want to finish the last two paragraphs, sir?
Hari Om, yes. At the conclusion of sage Vasishtha's teaching, Sri Rama attains enlightenment. But instead of turning away from the practical duties of the world, he engages himself in the performance of great deeds with a spirit of absolute detachment, as detailed in the Ramayana. The comprehensive philosophy presented in Yoga Vasishtha, unparalleled in its profound wisdom, serves as a template for every individual to break the fetters of the psychological illusions projected by the conditioned mind and live a life of purpose, poise, and contentment in full knowledge of one's true essence. The first paras actually says how Sri Rama attained the enlightenment with after this Yoga sage Vasishtha's teaching, and he's actually he's continued his duties. As like in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, even though if you are an enlightened person, if you have as a what is it? If you as a lauki samsari, he's supposed to complete some his duties. So he actually continued his duties even after his enlightenment.
Right.
That is re-emphasizing the fact, even if you are enlightened and if you have got still forced to do your duties, you should continue that.
Right. Yeah. So many a time that we associate realization with a ochre clothes or a person living with a big beard or living in a forest or just going from place to place, not having a home and all that. But that's our idea that we have. But uh, there are as many realized souls living as grihasthas among us, but nobody knows that person is realized because they just behave like a normal person. But only, as they say, only a PhD can understand another PhD. Uh, only a neurophysicist can understand another neurophysicist. The teachings are understanding. Here, only a uh, realized person can understand another realized person. He might be just living like a grihastha with equanimity, with no concerns, whatever. He is just satisfied with whatever it is. And if he has to go on to work, he works. And if he has to go to the grocery store, he go to the grocery store. If he needs to work for somebody for minimum wages, he works for minimum wages. But he just appears like anybody else. But he is abiding in his own atmic self. And that's how Lord Rama lived the whole world in the whole life. And that is the reason you see how Lord Rama went through so much suffering in the forest, even as a king and even as a child and all that. But under all circumstances, though he appeared to have been cried when Sita was what you call taken away by Ravana and things like that, but inside he was at complete equanimity, and he treated everybody as they should be treated. That's why he's called an ideal brother, ideal husband, ideal king, ideal son, ideal friend. So that's why they say one should uh, follow the life of Lord Rama. So how did he achieve it? This by the teaching of Vasishtha Rishi on this self-knowledge. And since he had developed a perfect detachment to the world, the teaching was able to give him that knowledge immediately. He didn't have to go through the forest to do tapas for years and years and years. That's why they say that Shravana matrena gnanam jayate, meaning that if a person is perfectly detached as the what you call viveka vairagya shatka sampatti and mumukshutvam, just teaching by the guru that tattvamasi, you are that, and explaining that is enough for a person to realize one's nature, and that's what happened to Lord Rama. So today we are going to end by chanting these verses called the invocation verses, that which we will be chanting at the beginning of every class. So I'm going to go ahead and project it on the screen, and I'm going to chant. If you want to mute yourself and also chant, you are welcome to do that. He says, यतः सर्वाणि भूतानि प्रतिभान्ति स्थितानि च यतः सर्वाणि भूतानि प्रतिभान्ति स्थितानि च यत्रैवोपशमं यान्ति तस्मै सत्यात्मने नमः यत्रैवोपशमं यान्ति तस्मै सत्यात्मने नमः. It means Namaha, salutation. To who? Satya Atmane, to that self-same reality. A form whom all beings, I'm sorry, from whom, it should be from whom, sorry. From whom all beings proceed, by whom they are manifest, upon whom they depend, and in whom they become extinct in the mind, in the end. So it is that one reality from which everything comes, everything stays, everything disappears back at the end. So, as we can say, that is that one cause of all these causes of the world that even our scientists are looking for. And our great sages had realized that thousands of years ago as that pure Atman, or the pure consciousness alone, is the cause. I'm going to read once more. Yatas sarvani bhutane pratibhanti sthitani cha yatra eva upashamam yante tasmai satyatmane namaha. So we'll go to the number 2. ज्ञाता ज्ञानं तथा ज्ञेयम् ज्ञाता ज्ञानं तथा ज्ञेयम् द्रष्टा दर्शनदृश्यभूः द्रष्टा दर्शनदृश्यभूः कर्ता हेतु क्रिया यस्मात् कर्ता हेतु क्रिया यस्मात् तस्मै ज्ञत्यात्मने नमः तस्मै ज्ञत्यात्मने नमः. Okay. Tasmai Gnatyatmane Namaha. To that Brahman who is of the nature of knowledge. Salutations. Is that Gnata Gnanam Tata Gneyam. He is the seer, the act of seeing, and all that is seen. Everything is nothing but that Brahman. Drashta Darshana Drushya Bhuhu. And it Karta Hetu Kriya Yasmat. He is the actor, the cause of the and the effect. Therefore, salutations to him of who is of the knowledge of the nature of knowledge himself. So I can say that he is the knower, he is the thing to be known, and he is the process of knowledge. He is the seer, he is the object to be that is seen, and all the process of seeing. And he is the actor, he is the cause, and he is the action. Okay. And so you can say the unity in everything. So we consider as ourselves Jiva and Jagat and Ishvara as three separate things, but all of them are nothing but that of the nature of pure consciousness, Brahman alone. third one is Spuranti Shikara. I'm sorry. Spuranti Sikara Yasmat Anandasya Barevano. Spuranti Sikara Yasmat Anandasyam Barevano. सर्वेषां जीवनं तस्मै ब्रह्मानन्दात्मने नमः सर्वेषां जीवनं तस्मै ब्रह्मानन्दात्मने नमः ब्रह्मानंद आत्मने नमः salutations to him who is the supreme ananda bliss him itself Spuranti Sikara Yasmat, from whom flows the dews of delight. Anandasya Ambhare Vano, as water springs from the fountain. Sarvesham Jivanam Tasmai. Both in the heaven and earth, he is the life of all. So any worldly you look at, whether seven lokas below the earth, seven lokas above the earth, all lokas, that he is the life of all the lokas. And there's another one elsewhere in Yogavashista that is not in this book. That also I took it because it's very beautiful and goes along with the same thought process. धिवि भूमौ तथाकाशे धिवि भूमौ तथाकाशे बहिरन्तश्च मे विभुः बहिरन्तश्च मे विभुः यो विभात्यवभासात्मा यो विभात्यवभासात्मा तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः Tasmai Sarva Atmane Namaha. Salutation to the Lord, who is the soul of all, or the universal soul. Dhiribhumau tathakashe bahirantascha me vibhuhu. Is the shining manifest in heaven, earth, and the sky. Yaha vibhate avabhasatma. Is both within and without myself, and it pervades everywhere. That Sarvatma salutations. So you can say the first verse talks about Satya Atmane. So the Brahman is considered of three things that we taste: existence, consciousness, bliss. Existence is consciousness, consciousness is bliss. They are not three things. And is of the nature of Satya, that is pure existence, ever non-changing. And then he is of the nature of Gnanam. He is of the nature of pure consciousness. And he is of the nature of Brahmananda, of the nature of pure eternal bliss. And he is Sarvatma. He is the Atman in everything, one in everything. That Satya, Gnana, Ananda, Sarvatmane Namaha. So, salutations to him. Okay, so since it is the first class and we want to move it to Thursday, and the other people are very much interested in not missing, so we will start next Thursday from the real subject matter, Vairagya Prakarana. So we will stop here today. So I'm going
Can
to...
Can you send us the copy of this stanzas?
Yes, sir. That's what I was just about to say. I am going to send the prayer to everybody right away. And then we will start next Thursday. I'm going to send a message to everybody, and it will be same 7 to 8:30. Since it is in the form of story, though it's 90 minutes, it should not get boring. Otherwise, if we do only 60 minutes, it will go for 5 years instead of 3 years. And so we will stick with our 90-minute schedule. Okay. Anybody got any questions? Anybody want to add?
So are you going to do this Thursday or a week from Thursday?
A week from Thursday.
Okay.
Unless unless all of you want to start this Thursday.
Whatever.
We'll do it next Thursday. Since
Okay.
we did it today. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaः. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Apart from Ratnama, is anybody who do not have a WhatsApp group? If all of you have WhatsApp, what I want to do is put all your phone numbers in our Parthas of Atlanta WhatsApp group, so that any message that we send, instead of sending by email, and I can send it by the Parthas of Atlanta WhatsApp. Okay. And those whom phone numbers I don't have, if you can put it in this chat, I'm going to copy it down and I'm going to enter it in WhatsApp. Okay. Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Raghuji,
Yes, there.
is there a lot of difference in the, I don't know which edition, which is the latest one?
This is Nuligaru. This is.
I see. Oh, okay.
There are only 2 editions. The one edition that we had 6 volumes, and they have changed into 2 volumes. This is called Volume 1, Volume 2, but this is the second edition.
Oh, I see. You
Okay.
have it in your, you have it there in your.
Yeah, we have it in the Niketan if you want to.
Okay.
So if you want to just wait and see the next class, if there's significant change in the subject matter, then you can go and buy the other one, unless you want to go ahead and buy it right away. Okay.
Okay.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, everybody.
I'm going to stay back and see if there's anything in the chat. I'm going to copy down.
Okay. We will.
Raghuji, I have a quick thing.
Yes, sir.
So Thursdays, I have a class with Acharya Sharada Kumar. Same time, probably like 6:30 or something. So Thursdays, I would probably listen to the recording till you switch to, Tuesdays.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. So as soon as they change the finish the what do you call Hanuman Chalisa, we will shift back to Tuesdays.
Okay.
Okay.
But I will continuously look at the WhatsApp group. I will
Okay.
listen to your audio.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Recording.